السلام عليكم. So I'm good with the audio now, it's fine?
Yeah, can you speak?
Hello?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, this is recording. So if you're a member, then you have access to the recordings as well. So. We'll start in 2 more minutes.
Okay, no problem.
2 more minutes. I have a feeling people are going to roll in a bit late.
Just go. السلام عليكم. السلام.
There's, I'm getting their sit here or if anyone wants to plug in. And also, if you guys don't have a laptop, if you guys don't mind sitting on these seats, that way people who have laptops, they can use the table. Sister, if you need to plug in, you can plug in. Assalamualaikum everyone, Jazakallah for coming. Seems like there's a lot of new faces here. Welcome to Medina Labs. We can talk more about Medina Labs after the session is done, but this is Brother Ahmed Bida. Did I say that correctly?
Badr, yeah.
Bida.
Yeah.
And he will be giving us a session, 2 sessions on cloud application architecture. So there's one today and there's one tomorrow as well, inshallah. So if you haven't brought in your laptops, no big deal. For tomorrow, if you're joining us again, please bring your laptops because this is a hands-on. Our workshops in general are hands-on. So yeah, it'd be nice to follow along. And if you're a member, all the recordings will be posted for you guys. And feel free to introduce yourself and what you do.
Okay.
What we'll be doing today, inshallah.
Inshallah. So, assalamu alaikum everyone. So the main objective of this course is to explain you how cloud works from application perspective and giving you a simple idea about cloud, how to use it and how to benefit from it. So as Fahad mentioned, we have 2 sessions. Today we'll be talking about the foundation. We're going to talk about the architectures, what are the components of the cloud, what is the important parts for the application. And tomorrow, inshallah, we'll be talking how to deploy these things. And we also have a small hands-on lab that we will be doing today, a small hands-on for the cloud. So the main objective of this course, is that you will understand the building blocks. So a small background on myself. I'm a delivery architect. I have over 25 years of experience in architecture in general. I started my career as an IT technical trainer. Then I moved on to a corporate role to build the understanding for the corporation. And the big chunk of my career, I am providing consultation. My job, so what do I do exactly, and the relationship to this course. So I'm a delivery architect, which means that whenever a client has a solution that they want to deploy to the cloud, or they have on-prem and they want to move to the cloud, I help them execute this process. And I'm also certified from Microsoft, Azure, Google, Linux Foundation for Kubernetes, and Terraform for automation. You will understand, inshallah, about these products within the training. So, what do you expect from this course? This course, we're just giving you the foundation. I'm trying to explain it to you in a simple way to understand the benefit of the cloud. The challenges today for learning, it's not about resources. The challenge today is that we have too many resources. But to understand what exactly we need to really understand what is it that we want, so that we can achieve it. Each topic or each module of today's lab, which it deserves a workshop by itself. So this workshop is just giving you a high level on the cloud in general and the applications. And what do I do from my job whenever I have a solution to implement on the cloud? Okay. So this is our agenda for the workshop. For today, we will start talking about the cloud, the foundation of the cloud, and we're going to talk about the core building blocks for the cloud, the core architecture, the architecture principle that we use, and we'll have a small lab to deploy a cloud resource. And as I mentioned, tomorrow, it's going to be more how to deploy these resources. What are the ways that we use to deploy these resources to the cloud? As I mentioned previously, each one from these topics requires a full workshop by itself. So to set the expectation, I'm just going to explain to you what is the topic exactly, and inshallah, there are some resources that I provided you in the GitHub, which you can access these resources and you can utilize them.
They're in the workshop WhatsApp. So if you're on the WhatsApp, just go to the workshop section and he's posted it there.
Yes, and you have the URL here also. You can access this URL. It contains, I'll just go through it so that you guys see it. So this is the workshop. So this is the GitHub repo. This is giving you a brief about what is it that we're learning today. And then here you have the resources that we will be utilizing. And these are the labs. So for example, if you want to dig into any specific topic, like let's say to understand Docker, for example, or the commands, you can go to that repo and you have a cheat sheets about it. And you have samples and explanation for these commands. We will have a lab. Our initial lab is just to log into that, and you can clone this repo to your local laptop if you want to keep it for future references. So as I mentioned, we have cheat sheets that you can use for future, and we will be doing today, inshallah, 3 labs. One about the repo, then just to log into Azure, and the third one, it's to create a virtual machine on the cloud. So starting now, I just want you guys to log into the repo, to have a look in it, and to explore it, to see how it can be useful. You can, if you have VS Code, it was a requirement for this course, you can download it And you have the first lab there. It shows you how to download the repo and have it locally. So it's on that URL. You have it here under labs. You have zero lab, and you have, these are the requirements that you have. This is optional for you guys if you want to have it locally, but if you go directly to that URL, you can follow along with us with these things. You can even browse it from your phone if you want. It's there on the WhatsApp, so you have all the links there. Assalamu alaikum. في بورد ولا ما في بورد؟ بورد ما في؟ No problem.
I'll just go to
Well,
whiteboard.
yeah, no problem. I'll close it. That's it. Were you guys able to close?
Pull
Yes.
the repo, and I'm just going to use my own editor.
Okay, no problem. That's fine.
All this work can be done in Mac too?
Yeah. Yes. It's included in the repo also how you can clone it to the Mac, because Get it's an open protocol, so it can work on Mac, PC, and Linux. Okay, so I'm gonna get going. So we'll start off with the Cloud Foundation. So what's the cloud? So from your perspective, anybody knows what is the cloud? What's the definition of the cloud? Any volunteers?
It's essentially a bunch of resources that someone else is managing for you. You can rent capacity, essentially, and you can scale instead of having to procure hardware because that responsibility is outsourced to a vendor, right? And a whole bunch of other attributes like that.
Exactly. But in a nutshell, this is exactly what's the cloud. So previously, before the cloud, any organization or any company would need to have their own data center to maintain their hardware and their infrastructure. And this was a headache. It increased complexity for them, because for growth, for resources, if they want any resources, they need it. So the cloud, in general, it's an on-demand resource. So I have all the resources that I would need as an organization. I have them, I can rent them on demand. It's like, in other words, in our terminology, we call it like, it's like a hotel. Instead of buying a house, you're renting a room. You don't need to worry about the hardware. You don't need to worry about managing it. You have somebody else that's managing it for you. And it reduces the headache of the team. You pay only for what you use. And this helps you to focus on your core application. So application or core service that you want to use. Instead of I have to worry about this server, it's down, something is wrong with it, all of this is taken care of. So what did the organization and what do we benefit from it? Scalability. So as I mentioned previously, I started my career early before the cloud, when the cloud wasn't mature. So we had a lot of challenges. Let's say if I want to have a data center and I want to increase scalability, or I want to have, some terminologies we will learn in this course, inshallah. It's like high availability, all of these things. It was hard for me because I needed to have duplicates of everything. I need to have 2 servers in case one server is down. I have to go to build another server. And then this never ends. This job never ends. It always keep going. So on the second hand, okay, I have high availability on my site. What happens if my site goes completely down? So the cloud solves this because you have somebody that's managing your infrastructure for you at multiple locations, and they are investing that much investment in it. Cost efficiency. Although this terminology, especially for the cloud, because right now a lot of organizations are feeling that it's costing a lot, but if you want to receive this efficiency, going with the cloud, you're paying only for what you use. And if you want to build a data center locally with all the availability, with all the scalability and the features that you have with the cloud, it's going to cost you a fortune. Speed and agility. On-prem, if I want to upgrade a server, so our challenge was previously, I want to get a new server, I have to make a request, purchase it, I have to wait 4 to 6 weeks till it comes, I have to set it up and do this. With cloud, within 5 minutes, you have the resource up and running. Reliability. It is, first of all, I have a commitment from the cloud providers. They are committing with me. We have something called SLAs with them, which means like they're providing you this service, they're providing you a virtual machine. They say it's 99.9% or whatever SLA based on the tiers that you select. You have reliability and also the hardware and all of these things. You don't have to worry about it, the warranties and support. And the most important from application perspective is that I don't have to worry about all of this. I just focus on my work. Okay, and I'm talking about it from application perspective. So, how does it work? Or how the cloud is being sold? We have cloud service model, okay? And guys, I want just to highlight one thing in this part. We have three main cloud providers. We have Azure, GCP, AWS, and we have other providers also. Everybody has their terminologies, okay? What I'm doing in this workshop is I'm giving you the core basics, okay, and the concept of it, which will help you work on any other clouds on the future. So because everybody has their own story and their own way of selling their product. But on this is something that we all agree because this is a general terminology. We have the on-premises, which means what we used to have. All my servers, all my infrastructure, it's on-prem. Then we have something else called infrastructure as service. We have something called platform as a service, and we have something called software as a service. In simple words, how can I differentiate that? Sorry for the colors, it's not clear enough. But mainly there is 2 factors. What is my responsibility as a client? What is the provider responsibility? So if I go to on-prem, everything is under my responsibility. I'm responsible for the application, the data that's being used by the application, how to run the application, how to integrate it, the operating system, all up to the networking phase. If I go to platform as a infrastructure as a service, it is a different level. It stays up to here. So they're giving me the hardware. Me as a client, I select what operating system do I use, and then I install on top of it all the applications and data, and I'm responsible on that. If you go to platform as a service, they're giving it to you until the runtime. This is what do I need to do from application perspective? I just put my code on it and it would run. Then finally we have the software as a service. Software as a service, you don't care about all of these things. You just take a service, like an email. Okay, so for example, I'll give you an example on this for the email server. Previously, organizations used to have their email servers. So in order to get an email server, I have to set up the networking, the storage, the servers, everything. And I install, let's say, a mail server. We used to use Exchange server. And then I'm responsible on all of these servers. Okay. If I want to deploy it on the cloud and I want to be responsible on this part, I'm going to call it as infrastructure as a service. This doesn't apply to emails. It applies only to application. But software as a service, it's like Gmail. When you have Gmail, do you care that this specific part in your server is not working or your server is not functioning? No, I'm just having an email service. That's it. I'm sorry for this. This is the wrong. Yeah, it's the right lab and it's the wrong subject. Sorry. Okay, so now I'm gonna start browsing on Azure. You have Lab 1, which allows you to log into Azure. I have created for you some credentials so that you log in. This tenant this is what we call on Azure. We call it as a tenant. I created this tenant that we will work together. You will find the information for it in the lab folder. The only thing that you would need is the username and the password. Okay, so for the usernames, I'll just be providing you with numbers. You have to use it at ml@cloudpeople.net. So I'm going to start by here, 1. So this is your student ID, student1 at ml, and the password is general for all. You can use student2, student3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Are you using a laptop? Fahad, 8. You have a laptop? 9, 10, 11, 12, yeah. No, that's fine. That's good. It's actually better if you use your own tenants. I'm using this one for people so that instead of registering and logging in, you can follow on in this lab, but you will have a gap because I have set it up the networking here. After I finish this, I will providing you a different lab from Azure, which consider you don't have any infrastructure. Okay? So if you can please go to the exercise 1 and log into the portal so that you can follow on with me on this lab. I'll give you 10 minutes for this. Password is workshop, capital W, temp 123.
Is it ML or M1?
ML.
ML.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there. No, no, I haven't checked, but.
Can you check it?
There is.
If not, I'll need to reset it. Did it work, guys? Did it work, Ali? Let me try. Can, no, no, not student one. Try student 20. Just work. Yeah, yeah.
I think so. Like when I go to portal azure.com, this is where I end up, and I enter the password and username. This one, right?
Yeah.
It did not work.
And the username.
The student 01 at mlcloudpeople.net.
Yeah.
For
Not work.
example,
1 second, please. The problem is if I reset it from here. Okay. 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I had to. I was doing the lab this morning and I had to do it multiple times. So I think the password did not change. So I'll just change it now. I'll just update it. Sorry, I'm using AI just to do it fast. Because if I set it through the portal, it's gonna set me a password, and sending it over, it's gonna be complicated.
Portal.azure.com. Do we have to like select any like realm or?
Let me actually try the password here because I was quite sure it was working. So let me check it once. Okay, can student one, can you try?
So portal.azure.com.
Ali, what's your number? Yeah. 7. Can you try it? It's finished 7. Worked?
Next.
Workshop temp 123.
Not working for me.
It's the same one, right?
Yep. It's not.
No. So look, when you say portal.azure.com,
Yeah.
right, it goes to login Microsoft.com.
Yeah.
Do you have to select like a realm or a?
No, I'll come for you. I'll check it now. 1 second. I'm just gonna put the password. Yeah, we need to set authenticator. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that might be your problem.
Okay.
Did it work?
Definitely should be that one. Just one sec. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know. ايش بك على الموبايل؟
You can use the guest Wi-Fi. The guest Wi-Fi. It's not working. It should be working because it's working on my side. Maybe.
Meanwhile, till the other finish, if you browse into this one, just go through the resource group. I have 2 resource groups here. And you can see in the lab, it's asking you to check your permission. So we have these 2, we have 3 resource group, but we have the demo and the workshop student. If you can just go browse it until the other finishes, and we'll keep on going. Sorry?
How do I get access to the resource groups? Because again, it's with my.
Oh, but you don't have access
I
to
don't
this
have
one.
access.
This is mine.
Oh, okay.
This
okay.
is why. But you have here, if you can go here, Azure has some labs. It
'Cause
has one.
I was just going through the lab that was in the GitHub.
Yeah,
just
but mine it will not
version.
work there. How do you open a new tab?
Yeah, it's down here. I have it set up for it, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so Azure exercise, create VM.
Oh,
Mike-
I was just setting up the VM from the lab 2. I was just.
Oh, lab 3 exercise?
From, yeah, from the.
Yeah, it's the
GitHub.
same one.
Okay, then I can.
If you
set
can
up
follow
that.
this one, it
Okay.
will do it. Okay, so can we proceed, or you guys,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it works.
did it work with you?
I'm just selecting the user,
Okay.
which user I can use, which student I can use.
Use 19, because I lost your number. Either,
I think you stopped at 16. Who has 16? Does anyone use 16? Student 16? No.
no, so you can use 16. You will be resetting the password, and you will be keeping, I think it's asking you, is it asking for a password reset? Password? I'll just give it a few minutes more so that we'll make sure we're logged in. خذ اللابتوب روح اسال عمو فهد. Are you guys logged in? It's working?
I just can.
Ah, no problem. Okay. Sorry for the complication for this, because I was planning to use it. Azure, they had something called Sandbox, which I did not need to create account for this, but yesterday night I found out that Sandbox, they're not using it anymore. So I had to build a tenant, and on my tenant I had some restrictions for it, and I had to create a new tenant and try to set up the lab so that you guys have isolation and touch on it.
Okay, so well organized. Thanks so much for doing this.
No problem, thank you. Did it work? Good. It worked? Okay. Sorry? You have to pay this time. It's not working?
Yeah, it connects, but it doesn't matter which.
Yeah, I think it's because of the by default. Okay, I'll just fix it for you later. He's a hacker, so. Okay, so we'll get going. If some of you get stuck, we'll follow up on it. So now, making it simple again, this terminology is that what I'm using. Each cloud vendor is selling their service in a different way. They're categorizing it. You know, they're mentioning it. For example, Azure, they talk about storage and database. It's a different component. Google, they're talking storage contains database and this. So I have classified them on this way. I try to gather from all of them and try to make it simple so that you understand. So when we are renting that service from the cloud, what are we renting? So the most important part is the compute. This is the processing power, or this is what runs my service. Secondly, the storage. Where am I storing the data? It's either on a database or on a storage account or so on. Third, security. The security, what can I access? Who can access? And lastly is the networking. Actually, it's the first one because it's the first layer. You need to have network to connect to all of these things together. We'll go into each one from these. We'll start by compute. So compute in general, as we have discussed, we rent a computer. Okay, instead of a laptop, I am renting a machine, a remote computer on the cloud. Okay, it's a full operating system. I have maximum control of it. For example, I use this one for my own labs because I have some restrictions and I want to have a laptop that I can go and play with and do whatever I want, and I want to access it from anywhere. I create it on the cloud, I can access it. Then for applications, there is something else called container. Okay, and we will talk more about this one tomorrow, but this is a way to run your application. Instead of getting a laptop, I'm getting an environment that runs my containers, my Docker containers. And last thing is something we call serverless. What does serverless means? The naming, it's a bit tricky. You think it's not server, but in other words, it's a server, but you don't access anything. You just put your code on it and it's gonna run. And this is something that the developers and application team, they like. Why? Because they don't have to worry about what runs, what memory, what all of these things. I want something that, let's say I have a Python application I want to run on the cloud. I just give you the code and you run on it. And the good thing about it is there is a lot of features on it. First of all, you're not paying for the compute all the time. Let's say if I have my server and I installed my application on it, it's running as much as the server is running. But this one here, I can have my code, I can have my website sleeping, or my application not functioning, and once somebody triggers it, it starts up. So I'm paying only for that. So this is why a lot of people like this approach. Then we go to storage. This is one of the favorite topics that I like. Okay, so in storage, also I have categorized it in a different way, because mainly when you're talking about storage, for example, storage for Azure, it's talking about this. Okay, I have categorized it in 3 categories. I put the storage here. This is like the hard disk, and we're going to talk about each one. Then we have the databases. We have 2 types of databases, relational and non-relational. And then we have other type of storage, something that application team, they use, it's called cache. This is in-memory data cache. This is sometimes that's required for applications that require fast processing. So you connect this one to the application, you can store data there. Also, you have something that works with events like pops up. I consider it as a storage mechanism, as a function for this. Then we have something called secrets. Where do I store my passwords? Where do I store my credential for the application? So imagine if you have an application on the cloud and I want to maintain the application. There are some passwords. I will not remember the passwords, or I will not share the password somewhere else. So I can store it in something called a vault, and I can give a URL for the application to use this password. Not even my user will be able to see the password. It will be stored there. And lastly, for applications, we have container registries where you maintain the files or the images that are required for the containers. Okay, just before we dig into this one, I will just go through the storage on the portal, and you can follow on with me on this. So we have this RJ, the network. This is created automatically by Microsoft when I created a network. It's called the Watcher. It has some logging thing. But mainly, I have this demo, and we'll go into this demo. And here, for example, I have these resources. First one is the key vault. This is what I was talking about. So key vault, as it's mentioned, it's a vault that stores all my passwords. So for example, here I have secrets. I have a demo secret. I have this password here. And as I mentioned, I map it to the application to access from this secret. I have even a URL for this one. If I go inside of it, I have a URL for that secret. If I want to create a new version of it, I can create a new version. I have a storage account. This is where I can store my data, and I'll go back to the slide to explain you the type of storage account that we have. So, going back to storage, okay? Generally, we have three types of storage, okay? I'm talking about category, because also within this, you have different levels. Like for example, Azure, they have something called premium storage. But generally, when you're talking about storage, you have three categories. We have the object storage. What does an object mean? You're just maintaining an object like a file. This is something that we can read and we can access. We have block storage. This is something that the computer access. So in previous days or on-prem, we used to get like a SAN storage, and this is like the hard disk that your laptops or computer use. And file storage, it's very similar to this one, but it's like kind of a service. Okay? Then when we're going to databases, we have generally two types of databases. It's relational, like SQL databases. This is where you have the database, it's stored structured. And you have the non-relational. There are different types of databases that we use, like Graph, NoSQL, and different type of databases, which can store. And this is a big topic for it. As for now, I think this is enough on that level. Any questions? Any clarification, guys? Am I going fast or something, or are you guys following me? Okay. So now, the other thing is networking. So when I'm going to the cloud, I need networking. So what do I need in networking? What is the purpose? To connect users, to connect application, and to services. So we classify them like this. You have the virtual network. This is like, the big network that I have. On-prem, we used to have it, but now it's on the cloud. We call it a virtual network. This is how we combine it. Then within this network, I break it down into subnets so that I can have isolation. I can divide my resources. For example, I have some for application resources, some for database resources, and some for users. There is no one way to do it. It all depends upon the requirement. Then we set up routing. Routing is, I'm specifying how do I want the traffic to go. For example, if I have my users and I want them when they connect, I don't want them to go to internet directly. I want them to go to my server, and my server will take them through internet. Then I can manage here the security rules, what is allowed to go between subnets. I can have high availability by using something called load balancers. And finally, I have connectivity. Let's say I want to connect the cloud to my network, which is through VPN, or all of them, they have different type of connectivity, such as the express route and different type. So I will go through the VNet quick. So in this, in the lab resource group, I have here a VNet. So this is my VNet. And these are the components that are part of it, for example. Here we have a service that Azure gives you, like denial of service. This is if I want to have a firewall. Instead of purchasing an actual firewall, you can take the service. This is peering to connect such networks together, and this is for security. And we have private endpoints if you want to have specific connectivity to Azure resources to your subnet. And here where I specify the subnets. So for example, here I'm specifying the address spaces. I say this is my complete subnet. I want to use this address space. I'm isolating my subnets. For example, here I have this subnet. I can add more subnets from here. I specify what is the range and so on. And here are the different features about it. After networking,
Can I ask one question? Sorry for this.
Yes.
Basic question. What is the subnet?
subnet, as I mentioned to you, it is, you isolate the network, okay? Consider it like, look at the VNet as a city, okay? It's a complete city. Districts are subnets, okay? So it's like pieces of the network. We use this one for isolation. Sometimes we use it for isolation. For example, I want to put a subnet. This is the network, physical, not physical, actual physical like this, but I'm talking about it in the cloud. This is the actual connection. My servers, they will be connected to this subnet. My users will be connected to a different subnet. Why I'm doing this? To protect it. To make sure I can say from user subnets, only they can use this specific service of the server subnet. But between the subnet of the servers, I'm opening it. They can talk together. As I mentioned, it's like a district. All of it, they can communicate with each other. Outside the district, it's a different district, but you have routes between them and restrictions.
Okay, so for example, like the NAC is a subnet of MCW, something like that.
I'm just giving you on, no, not quite that much example. Why? Because it belongs to MCWS.
Oh, I thought the subnet is belonging.
Actually, sorry for that. Yeah, it might. Just giving the example is a bit hard, but.
Subnet would be a good example, like you have area codes, right? So within area codes, you have X amount of addresses, like house addresses, right? So a subnet has X amount of IP addresses. So let's say if it's a /20/24, you might have seen that 192.168.1.1/24, right? So you can only have 254 addresses. So think of it that the address space, or like the /24, the subnet, is your zip code. So you have the 48188. And within 48188, you have all these addresses. It's the same concept with networking, is that 192.168.1.0 to 254, those are all addresses. Does that make sense?
He's a network guy. Okay, so I'll stop here for like a 5 minutes break before going to the other topic, which is the application. So if you guys want to stay here or have a drink or something, and then we'll keep on.
It's working good fine. كل شيء بس
طيب
بيتفق.
بابا هلا خلينا نفوكس هلا شو بخليك تسوي في البيت. Sorry? I'll give you the link, but because I haven't completed it yet because tomorrow's workshop, I'll give you a read only now. I will share it on the WhatsApp, and tomorrow, inshallah, I will give it for you. In this. Yeah, no problem.
Bro, this course or the workshop, it's targeted for people who have a development background.
I'm trying to make it to cover everything, but mainly because the most of the people that use this for the cloud, they have application. Okay, I'm not an application guy. Me, I'm an infrastructure, but I learned application because most of what you maintain on the cloud is application. That's basically. So
So I was just looking at the setting up the VM from here, the lab 2. I just don't have the standard they're asking for.
you can use a different one. If yeah. Me because I use the cheapest one.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I'm.
Yeah, no problem. You can use any type, any size, but try to use something that's not expensive.
Yeah, this is
for this.
70, but that's the cheapest one.
Okay,
This is what the university I don't set up with.
no problem.
I wanted to just see the previous slide. Like I think it was after the SAS and IAS. That working? Yeah.
This one?
The next one. Oh, for yeah, these couple. Can you go back?
I'll share it for you on the WhatsApp.
Please. Or
I will have the link there.
Jazakallah khair.
No problem.
What was it?
Ahmed.
Ahmed Ammar.
Ammar, nice to meet you.
Are you working like specifically for like cloud infrastructure?
Yes.
I see, nice, mashallah. I'm also like I graduated from NCS
MashaAllah.
from UMich, so I was just like, it's interesting, like kind of like seeing all this stuff because I never covered like the cloud computing parts of it.
MashaAllah.
Mashallah, mashallah. It's really important information.
Inshallah, I hope it's beneficial.
Alhamdulillah. Like I've used AWS before for like deploying, or not AWS, like Cloudflare for like deploying
Yeah.
websites and stuff. But I didn't really get like too much of a detailed dive like what you're covering. So it's really
Actually, this is a very high level. If you guys want, inshallah, a deep dive, maybe we can have it later, inshallah.
okay, inshallah. Yeah. This is
I pasted this one in the WhatsApp,
okay.
so you have it now.
Jazakallah khair. I really appreciate it.
I just shared it on the WhatsApp.
So after we finish this, so what's the next step for this?
I'm just showing you.
Oh, okay.
You get what I mean? You can go inside here. You can see the VNets. Go to this one, the second one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go to the VNets and you can explore them.
Course of it's like a whole 2 hours worth of sound. Like because you gotta do creation download before. And that's fine. Yeah, now more of it.
What about the firewall?
But how is it? Not deep.
We'll find out. I'm gonna do so tomorrow. I'll give you a link. I want you to have everybody scan it, the QR code. Have them fill it out in class. That way we get an idea of is this something that they're interested in? What was their skill level before coming? Now, how after you taught them, how do they feel? And do they think they can apply this at work? So
But I think each the topic, especially for tomorrow, DevOps, infrastructure as code, and this we can maybe later on see what interests them also if they want a specific workshop on this. Because I'm trying to cover just to give the idea so that the people understand the concept in general.
yeah, because you're doing the basics, then I'll come and do the Azure portion.
Sure.
And then Ahmad is going to do GCP.
I'm gonna do this.
Oh, you're doing the GCP too?
Yeah, because you said you couldn't do it.
He said he was going to do it later, right? Or no?
I'm not sure. We can check with them.
Okay. Oh, are you covering GCP tomorrow?
No, GCP is supposed to be after you.
Oh, after.
So you were doing Saturday. I'm supposed to do some day for GCP.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Good, check it out.
The main point probably, register timing as like
And I mean, a couple other people do that too. So. You know what we should do is put up the timer on the screen next time, so when you put break, so people know when.
Okay,
I think that might make it easier.
no problem. application هلا خايف منك هلا.
So the typical career path for this would be network, architecture.
I would say maybe 10-15 career path.
Oh, 10, 15.
Yeah, it's not each one of these topics and the one that we're covering, it can have its own career path. For example, we have here Fahad. Fahad is I'm sure he knows a lot or recovers a lot, but he's mainly is networking. We have Ali in application and DevOps and architecture and like this. So calling this, what do we do or what do I do? You have DevOps engineer, architect, network engineer, security engineer. And you have levels, security engineer, you have security architect, and you have global, okay? My advice, you cannot focus on one thing or one topic. Say I'm a network engineer or I am a security engineer, I don't know anything else. You need to understand bits or pieces of everything. Me, when I started my career, before coming to the States actually, I had no cloud experience. I was mainly on infrastructure, building data centers, server storage, and like this. When you go to cloud, the career path changes. A lot of career opens, but cloud, you have to be exposed to everything. So a network engineer, he must understand how storage works because he's connecting them together. DevOps, you have to know everything. You have to know about cloud, you have to know about security, and every day it's cloud. There is a lot of careers that comes of this. You get what I mean? I think here with the Medina Center, we can help you. If you don't know exactly, if you want to build your own career from here, we can set you up with the right mentor in that specific field, and they guide you and they grow with you and they can make you plans. Okay? The good thing about it, guys, is now, as I mentioned, there's a lot of resources. Honestly, me personally, I built maybe 70% or 80% of my knowledge from YouTube. Okay? From the right people, though. There is a lot of these things. From training, you can get it. You can, even though if you want to invest, there is a lot of websites that can help you. I personally like one of the best things that helps you work and path, and they're arranged, Pluralsight. This is a good site. As per your question, it shows you all the career path, and it will give you all the required training, and on top of that, it has hands-on training for these specific topics.
What's the name of it again?
Pluralsight. I'll share with you, inshallah. We'll be keeping like this. I have multiple links I will share with you. Even though if you want on YouTube, there is somebody that I really like and I learn from her a lot. Her name is Nana Tech World. Yeah, she's very good. She explains you what's the career path. She explains the topics in a very good way that you can understand. Okay, so we'll start now. with the application, okay? My background is I'm not an application person, but I'm looking at it from infrastructure perspective, because although I'm not working with the application, but I serve the application team. So the application team, they come for us, they say, I want to deploy application, and so on. So I'm gonna give you a small understanding on this and how do we work on that. So first of all, for the applications, we categorize, whenever we have an application, this is changing also right now, and you will have it in the next slide, but we have 3 tiers applications, 3-tier architecture. So what do we mean by 3-tier architecture? Is that we're classifying what are the services that's being used, okay? And this is something for high level to understand. So this is, let's say, for example, I have an application that's hosted on the internet. I need a web server. So what does this web server act? This server, it's not the application. This is like, you know, your entrance, your receptionist. You come to, and this one routes you to the application server. Okay, and you might have multiple application server based on this, and this would route you, okay? And then we have a 3rd tier, is where do we store the data? Okay, so this is why, this is how we classify it. The good thing in technology and the cloud is that you have to understand these basic concepts, okay? As you go complication and, you know, a lot of sophistication that will happen later, if you go back to this basic concept, it will be clear, okay? Okay, so this concept, it is what's being used previously, and we call it a monolithic application, monolithic type, okay? So we have, as we mentioned, we have the UI, the user interface, we have the business logic, and then we have the database. Later on, this is changing. This has changed, and a lot of the organizations are changing this. They're going for an approach which is called a microservices. Okay? Let's explain this one in a simple way. So if I go back to the previous slide, okay, I'm gonna try as much as possible to consider your basic knowledge in technology. So this is here a server. What does the server do? Okay, it serves something, okay? And how does it operate? It has services inside of it, right? I have a service, let's say networking service. I have an authentication service. I have website. So all of these are multiple services that's this running, okay? Now, if I want to increase availability and reliability of this, what do I need to do is that I need to copy this server and have an identical one, okay? So all the services that I had is gonna be multiplied by 2. But the question is, do I need these services? No, not maybe necessarily not all of them. I just need to specify a small services. So when we're going for microservices, they started cutting out these components into small services, okay? Instead of running the complete UI, the UI maybe I need it for 3-4 services, for example, okay? And I break them down into smaller services, and I have more flexibility, and I have more agility. It's helping me in that sense. So for example, in here, in this example, I break down a service called the UI. Okay, so going back to the previous example, so if I want to have this redundancy, how many servers do I need? I'll need 2 servers. And the server will have services that I don't require. So they decouple them and they put them in small services, and I have more flexibility with it. And by doing this, I can have, let's say, for example, here, the UI, this service for authentication, this service for orders, and this service for payments. So going for high availability. I have a problem in payments. Okay? I don't need to buy 20 servers or grow 20 servers. Okay, so in payments, I will scale it up. Okay? So I'm decoupling them and make them small services that I can use. Okay? Is it clear? Okay.
Is that where Kubernetes comes in, microservice?
Exactly. Kubernetes, it runs the microservice. You get what I mean? So it's like a virtual machine that runs this microservice. Then, when we're talking about applications, there are something that we call stateful and stateless application. Okay? So what's a state? It means it's data that's important to the session. Okay? Let's give you an example. Okay? I'm going to a booking site. Okay? What do I need to do for this booking site? I need to enter my credentials. When I'm communicating with that server, okay, I'm giving it information. It has to make sure it's me. Okay? Let me go back to a different example, although it's in the old days, but now because everything keeps your state. But I'll go for a newspaper website. Does a newspaper website cares about who are you? Do you need to register? No, it's just sharing information. So it doesn't maintain anything with your state. Okay, although now it's changing with cookies and all of these things, they're trying to collect all your information to know what is it exactly that you're looking for, but this is on a high level. So if I'm having, why this is important, it's because if I'm having scalability in my solution, I need to consider, is it a stateful application or not? Because why? Here I have two servers, okay? I have two application server, for example, for high availability. So I can have high availability from here. I don't care about the storage between them, or it doesn't record the state between the session. So I can come send a request here. The second request when I'm coming, I can go to a different server and so on. Now, in the other scenario, I am communicating with a web server, and this web server, it maintains my data. Here you have session data. You have the users, all this information. So whenever I'm communicating with it, I need to communicate to the same server. Okay? And also this explanation I'm giving you to explain the concept, because with the technology that we have right now, you can also have a shared storage and access it from here. The purpose of this slide is to explain you the concept. Okay?
What is the state for the server memory? What is the state?
It's state of the session. You get what I mean? State for the session. So as I mentioned, here you can see here session data. So you have, let's say, you need to know who's the user. They have a cart, items, all of this information, you're maintaining this. This is called the state of the session. Okay? Now, another important part for big enterprise applications or companies that they have applications, they consider having multiple environments. Okay? So for example, I have one application, let's say for a university or for a bank or for any organization, they have an application. So this application, I create multiple environments. Okay? We start normally by the development environment. What's this development environment? This is like, it's like my sandbox for the application. This is where I do my testing, I play with my application, me as, application team or infrastructure, this is my play area. Then I have staging. This is a different environment, and it has different names also. Some people call it UAT.
Is that what that is? UAT?
Yeah, UAT, UAT, or different naming also. Do they have other names, Ali? I think.
So was that
UAT and staging. They have different names. I think user testing. Yes. So yeah, pre-prod. So exactly. So this is a different stage. I have my application, then I have my pre-prod. This is where I know I give it more testing. I allow my users to come push it. Okay? Then I have the production. This is my actual application. Okay? This is where my application working. Why do I have this? So that I have proper testing and proper environment. If I'm working only on production and I want to make a change or test something, it's risky. My application will be down when I'm doing this. Okay? And for this, we need to consider something which is called environment variables. What is the environment variables? Because each application of this will be connected to a different service. So here, these variables are entries that are specific for this environment. For example, here I'm setting up the database server for this is to use for this database, development database. This is for a different database. This is the level of the configuration that I have here. Okay? Why we're doing this? Because this is supposed to be the same. Okay? What do you mean by the same? I have one application code. This is my application. But I need to run it on different environment instead of creating different applications. So if I modify something here, this will not be impacted, and this will not be impacted. I create my code here, my application here, and this is a layer. I'm saying it, if you want to deploy the application in this environment, use these environment variables. If you want to deploy it in this environment, you use this environment variable. And if you want to deploy it in here, you use this environment variable. Also, other than environment variables, you have different things. You have configuration files for each environment. These are more specific toward the application. I have the secrets, the password for each environment, where I can store them in Key Vault, as we have seen previously. So this is giving you a brief idea about this, the architecture of the application. Any question, any clarification?
Sometimes when you go to the website, they say it is down. It is down. Is it because they put everything there?
No, you cannot say that because you have a lot of reason to have it down.
I mean, they said we are doing like maintenance.
Yes,
When
yes.
they do maintenance, they show it here.
They're switching from here to here. You get what I mean? They have done their testing here. They have built the environment first. They did changes here. They changed the code. They tested here. Then they put it here where the user start testing it. Then when it's ready for production, it needs here. And it depends upon the organization. You get what I mean? Because a lot of the time, we need to go less downtime. And there is different methodologies that we use for this, blue, green, different. It's a big topic by itself.
I mean, when they change the website, they change the service, they change everything in the back.
This one, it's not for people outside. It depends, yeah, but a lot of organizations, they would not give this to public. You get what I mean? This is for internal users, for example. Okay, because the data, it's not solid. Okay, so I'll stop here for Salah, and then inshallah we'll come and finish the other module and the lab, inshallah. ايش؟
الصلاة على 4:15 إقامة.
إقامة من الظهر يعني أنتوا بس الظهر بتصلون من غير إقامة؟
العصر الظهر بصلوها.
بس هم أذن اوريدي أذن.
يا خلص
خلص خلينا نصلي بس كيف
خلص هو بس ترجعوا لي.
Okay. So just a recap before we go to the next level so that we can connect the dots. So first of all, we talked about cloud. What are the core components of it? How do they sell it? And how we can use it. And then we have taken a very high level on the application in regards of deploying it to the cloud and understanding it. Now, we want to deploy it to the cloud. As I mentioned, these are the three core cloud providers. You know, in regards of history, the number one that has the market share in the world is AWS. The reason why they have the biggest share, it's because they're the oldest. They started in, I think, maybe 2006, if I'm not wrong. Then we have Azure and GCP. Azure and GCP, they are taking market share from AWS, okay? Honestly, myself, I haven't worked in AWS a lot. I started with Azure because all my experience was on Microsoft, so it was easier for me to understand the language. Then I moved on to AWS, to GCP, but inshallah this year I'm starting to work on AWS. Working on these clouds, it is changing from one to another. It's very easy. The hardest thing is the first one, is you understand the cloud, because the concept is the same, okay? But they differ from one to another. Naming convention, how do they classify or group their things? Let's say, for example, on Azure, they use something called resource group. On GCP, they call it a project. It's how they logically function. But believe it or not, if somebody does something, after a while, the other will do it in a different name.
OCI calls it compartment.
Sorry?
OCI, the Oracle Cloud, they call it compartments.
Yes, exactly. Yes, yes. I haven't worked on Oracle also, but I assume everybody has their own way of doing it, but it's a different way of grouping it. So now, I want to build a cloud solution. Okay, so I understand the basics. I want to build a cloud solution. I'm giving you this based on my experience and based on when a client or somebody comes ask me how to start building them a solution. Okay, honestly, in my organization that I work in right now, it's called Capgemini. It's a French company. They are very good and strong in architecture. You know, before joining Capgemini, I have been there for 5 years. Before that, I had 20 years. I was building solution, but it was in my head. You get what I mean? You ask me, Ahmed, build me an application infrastructure with high availability. I used to tell you, bring 2 servers and do this and do this. It's in my head. But we, in our company, they have a framework, which they call it IAF, I believe. And there are different frameworks. These framework, they help you to build blocks, okay, to know how to build a solution, okay? So, and every cloud provider, they have their own way of doing it, okay? And each one from them, they have a website or documentation for them on how to build a solution. They call them, some of them call it design principles. This is what Microsoft to follow. It's like, you know, it's telling you, if you want to build to the cloud, follow up these principles. They have the architecture center. Google have one also, I don't remember the name. AWS, they have one. So that you don't miss out on these things. And for your point, for your discussion, if you want to follow something like this, start from there. This will give you a guidance. So let's say if I want to go to build a cloud for Microsoft, let me open it here so that we can see it. Okay, so I go here and go to Microsoft. Okay, so they have it. This is their website. These are the architecture that they have. So for example, they have, Microsoft have this website. This is the architecture center. And this is here you can browse the architecture. And here, this is the well-architectured network. So here you specify what you want, but the main thing I want to discuss with is pillars. Okay? This is how, you know, I want to design a solution. So that I don't forget something like what I said before, I follow this. So, first of all, it's not in this order actually. It depends upon the order of the structure, but here I'm talking about reliability. How can I add reliability to my solution? How can I add security? How can I optimize software? So when you're designing a solution, you do the design, and then you start following up these parts so that you don't miss out on any part of it. And of course, as I mentioned, everyone has it, and it's in their different way. So this is what I follow normally. So start, because security is first. How do I protect my data? How I protect who can access the data? How can I protect from where they access the data? So this one, it's, you know, you're giving yourself a use case or an environment so that you can think about this topic. Because each one of these topics, it's important for the cloud. Reliability, how can I make sure that my solution is reliable? It can be, if one application, if one server falls, how can the application still work? If the complete zone or region fails, how does it work? All of this, it depends upon the business, okay? Because based on the businesses, each business has different requirements, okay? We have businesses that, let's say when they're down for 5 minutes, it costs them millions, okay? They lose clients when they're doing this. So everybody thinks from their perspective and based on their priority, okay? So performance, how do I make sure I have the right performance? Cost, this is a big thing in the cloud, okay? Because I personally believe 70 or 80% of the people using the cloud, they are overpaying. Why? Because they're using the solution, they don't have a realistic vision on how to do it. This is why in the last couple of years you heard FinOps, how to make sure you're not paying too much for the cloud. How do you see how much is the cost, how much is the cloud costing you? And then the operation. Each one from these, it's a big topic by itself. So for example, security, these are the core concepts that they have. Least privilege, so to make sure when I'm giving the permission for any person, to give them the least thing that they need to do, so that I don't give them an extra privilege so that they don't ruin it. Defense, I separate them in multiple layers. Zero trust, this is, it came also in the last years. How to make sure that you don't trust anything. You know, it's considered, this is why it's the right name, zero trust. You make sure you don't have any permission giving or anything. It's mainly related to networking and to access for it. Encrypt everything, how to make sure my data is encrypted. So in case if my data is stolen or manipulated, they cannot access it. And when we're talking about security, you have these layers that you need to talk about. The security for the network, this is where we work about subnets, firewalls and private subnets, identity, how to make sure who can access it and what they can access, and to make sure that even though if, this is why everything now you heard about multi-factor authentication. So even if you have a password, you have to have a device to prove it's you. You have the application itself, how the secrets are managed, how to secure the application, and then the encryption, encrypting the data where the data is stored and where the data is moved, and to protect it in a way of backup. So you get what this helps you, how this helps you design a solution and understand these are the things that I need to make sure on my solution. Every time, is my network secured? Is my identity protected? The application, is it protected? The secret and all of these things. These are important factors that I need to consider from security perspective. Then, reliability and availability. How do I make sure my data is always available? So in case, if one server is down, how do I make sure users are still using it? I have another system parallel. Redundancy, not a single point of failure. So I don't have one server, I have multiple servers. Fault tolerance, keep working if it fails. Disaster recovery. And these are the availability that we are considering. Of course, each organization has different requirements that they can use based on their systems and how much they can afford it coming down.
Is there any examples for the mission criticals, the 5 nines?
What do you mean?
Which company is actually requiring 5 nines mission criticals?
I would go, in my old days, when we were talking about, the cost, I think telecom, then banking. Telecom, because, they're making money from the air. Losing a service that costs them too much. Medical, it depends upon the organization, it depends upon the need, you get what I mean? But one of the projects that I'm working on, and they're considering this one, it's for medical organization. Okay, it's a huge organization. It's one of the top. It's Bayer, for example. They are the one who invented aspirin. They have systems across the world, and if they go down for a little bit, it's very critical for them. Then performance and scaling. This is a very good point also, and this is related to cost. Okay, because for example, I'll give you an example. Some organization, for example, they need system. They're having systems, but during the end of the month, they have to pay salaries. They have to do billing. They have to do a lot of these things. If I have an on-premise system, I cannot do this. You get what I mean? I have to buy my servers and have them on my site, and I'm paying for them anyways. But with cloud, I have the flexibility. I can use, let's say, for virtual machines, we have something called scale set. What's a scale set? Is that I'm setting a specification for the virtual machine, and I'm saying based on the load of this virtual machine, create multiple ones. So at the end of the month, and you're doing it, you're just setting it once. So at the end of the month, when you need a lot of load, you need 20 virtual machines. 20 virtual machines will come up based on the load. When it's finished, it's gonna come down. Think about this in the cost. You get what I mean? In real life, you cannot do this. You have to have, purchase the hardware. Although, as I remember before, working in the cloud, I was mainly working with HPE. They started having a concept similar to this with hardware, but for on-prem. They call it, I think, Green Lake. Okay, so what's Green Lake? Is that HPE, for example, and I think Dell also, they offer it. They will give you the hardware, and they will make you pay for your consumptions. It's the same concept as the cloud. But of course, it's going to cost much more than the cloud, because they are putting their hardware on your site. So this is the scaling. When we're talking about scaling, mainly the main two categories that we're talking about is vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. It depends on, I want to grow the specification of my resource like add more RAM, more CPUs, grow it, or add multiple servers. Okay? We use auto scaling. This is the concept that I mentioned about that it can grow and shrink as per my need. You have load balancing. This is a concept that I need because let's say if I have multiple servers running on this one, how can I manage if I have 10 servers, the users will not be affecting. I make the traffic comes first to my load balancer, and this load balancer will direct to the appropriate server. I have caching, and I have something, I forgot what it stands for, CDN, but this is like caching.
Content delivery network.
Yes, content delivery network. So this, the concept of this one is, let's say if I'm working, if I have a website and I'm working in 5 countries, I can have different content. I have different caching for each country. And Google, I believe they are one of the strongest in this one because they have a bigger network. So for example, I'm in Saudi Arabia and I'm using this one. They are providing me caching locally in Saudi Arabia. So when I need to access it, it's going to be faster.
Akamai is one of the known company for CDN services.
Who?
Akamai.
Can you repeat again?
AKAMI.
I never heard of it. Yeah. Just put the technology. Like,
They just do the content delivery.
yes, from what I know, it's Cloudflare. It's one of the top.
Yep, it is.
Google, I think within the cloud, this is where they shine in and they talk about it a lot. But I did not hear, I did not work specifically on this topic a lot.
Yeah.
Then this is where it comes for the cost. The cost driver, the compute, the storage, networking, and services. These things I need to consider it while I'm designing. Okay? Because compute, as I mentioned, you have a virtual machine that costs you $7 a month. You have a virtual machine that costs you maybe $1,000, $2,000 a month. So utilizing this methodology, it can help me select the right solution. Also for the network on the cloud, it's very critical because the cloud, they charge you when you access data from the cloud. So imagine if I have 2 sites and they're connected from each other, when I'm receiving data from a site to another, I'm paying per bit, per bytes for the traffic. So I need to take all these consideration when I'm designing a solution so that they're not paying too much. So that factor, the location of the cloud resource, it's important for me. So if I need to have communication together, I need to select closer location, and each cloud provider, they have a map on how they charge and so on. Yes.
I didn't understand this part, overbilling. Like, why they do not charge you when you get service? Why overbilling?
They charge you when you get service. But if you get the wrong service, overpaid. Let me give you example for Uber. Okay? Uber, when you go rent an Uber, you have the basic one. Right? You pay, they tell you from here to there, to MCWS, for example, $5. And you have Uber X or Uber this, you will pay $20 or $50. Is it taking you to the same place?
Yes.
You're paying it. Why you're paying the delta? You get what I mean? It's the same thing for the cloud. And they are winning because they're taking money. Okay? This is, last couple of years also, it's being, a lot of organizations, they found out that, you know what? Cloud is actually costing me more expensive than having it shared. I personally believe a lot of these people, they over-provision, especially that the cloud is new. And considering it, a lot of the organizations are now going to the cloud, so they are investing, they're discovering something new. They don't know the best practices, okay? This is why I like my job. It's that I don't do the same thing every day. I see everything, every day I'm doing a migration. I'm doing something new. And from this we're learning. But if you are working on an organization that I build a cloud solution, I don't see anything else. I don't see how things are happening. And you know what? Today I explain you this example. Every day something changes. Every day something changes. Before this course, as I mentioned, I was planning to use the sandbox. Microsoft decided, you know what? No sandbox. You want to use it? We give you credit for $200 account. I said, good. I'm going to use the 200 for this course. I start using it. And when I tried the lab, oh, the free virtual machine doesn't work on this one. You have to put a credit card to use the other one. It's like this. So you need to be up to date and to understand and to use the right methodology for it and use the right solution so that you don't overpay.
Okay, and for example, for entry, like just entry level, like for a company, small company, do you have a tool that to tell them that, okay, based on your service, probably going to the cloud is not efficient for money, but if you buy like a small workstation and you could handle it by yourself, it will be less cost.
There is no much tool. It depends upon the solution itself. Because you know the cloud, it's a lot of things. It's not just this. Okay, you have a local server. This server, you need power. This server, you need internet. This server, you need antivirus. This server, you need backup. This server, it's a different concept. Me, I believe they can use the cloud, but use it in an efficient way. You get what I mean? And there is no roadmap to follow or no procedure to follow. You have, each one has a different environment. You know, as I mentioned, in my whole career of my life, I never faced a client that asked me the same requirement as the other one, as 100%. You get what I mean? You say, I want to have high availability. Okay, high availability, yes, it's the same word, but it's completely different from this client to that client. So there is no one size fits all. They try to do it as much as possible, but it's not valid, okay? But the good thing here about the States, I noticed it, is that they are very client-oriented. For example, most of my life I was raised in Saudi Arabia. So there, let's say for medical, IT companies approach the big hospitals. The small ones, they don't care about them. Here, I found out that they have companies focused on medical, for example. Some companies, they just sell solution for dentists. Some sell only for accountant. This is good because you're not just paying for the technology. You are paying for the experience you are getting from it. You learn from it. Maybe you are doing things, you're doing it wrong. But following this, it's following a best practice. Okay? This one, it's a very important topic also. So I have set up my cloud and my solution. How can I see if this solution is working good or not? How can I monitor it? There is 3 ways that mainly we check it. We have the logs. The logs, it tells me what happened. And this was also a big thing in cost. Okay? Because the logs, some companies, they say, you know, I want to go back for 30 days. One of my clients, they want to go back for 2 years. So these logs must be maintained in a good way. And not just in a way that I have these logs, I want to be able to access them. So there is different ways of doing it. You get what I mean? When you are doing it for the cloud, for example, we have multiple tiers of storages. Okay, this tier costs you a lot. The standard, the premium tier. We have the standard tier, and we have an archive tier. So what we can do to save this one, we can say the log can stay here in 30 days. After 30 days, move it to the other one. After 30 days, move it to the third one. This is a concept for the logs. Then we have the metrics. The metrics, this gives me the information, the numbers. How long did it take me to access this website? How many users access this website? Okay, so this is a way for monitoring it. Third, the traces. So I'm running an application. This application, it runs multiple level or goes multiple places. How do I know what is the bottleneck? Maybe because when you're making the request, guys, when you're going to the website or going something, you're not accessing one server only. You're accessing maybe 50 servers and you don't know it. Because as I mentioned, the microservices, you might be a service running this service, another service running this service. So I need to know what is my problem, so I follow these traces. This one gives me a map on where are these things. And these things are not only important for me as operation, this can be very important for me as business, as sales. Some projects that I was working on, for websites, they want to know how many clients are coming to the website, how many clients click on the website, how long would the client stay on my website. All of these things are part of operation and observability. So this is the last lab that we have. It's basically to create a virtual machine. You have it, it's lab, sorry for the number, it's lab 02, not 01 in there, and you can follow the same credentials. And it's a step-by-step. So if you guys want to do it, and then we'll just wrap it up for today. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll continue on deployment.
How can we go to the virtual machine? In the cloud, right?
Yeah, so you have it, if you go to lab 02, you will find it there. I hope that you guys have learned from this course. I tried as much as possible to make it simple in a way to understand it and to give the use case of it.
We can recreate this, all this that was taught, like that was displayed today. Like if I bring a machine tomorrow.
If you bring it tomorrow, you can do it. But because I'm going to delete the lab tomorrow. It's because, as I mentioned to you, they're asking me to pay for it.
Oh yeah.
So this is why.
Makes sense.
Can you give us like a case study? Like for example, customer come with you with this, and you give them like multiple choice. Then how did you like design? Like it's like a case study.
Inshallah, we can do a workshop specified for this one to specify it. But now, as I mentioned, this workshop now today, we're giving you the basic concept to start talking about the solution. Okay, so now I should be able to know how to design, what components do I need, what do I need to consider. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking about, okay, we build the solution, what is my deployment option? Because we have something called DevOps. It's a new terminology, how to deploy the application, and a new framework that works. We have Docker, we talked about monolithic and containerize. We have Docker, how to containerize my application. We have infrastructure, instead of using the UI like this one. For example, this is my strength, and this is what I do good, is I build code to provision infrastructure. So imagine, to do that, I use a tool called Terraform, and I use something called Ansible also, and I use DevOps. So imagine I can build you a data center, a complete solution that serves you this within 5 minutes. Not building the code. It takes me months maybe to build the codes, or days or weeks, depending on the solution. But to provision it, 5 minutes. I'm gonna give you tips about these things. And as I mentioned, everything has its own path. If you guys are interested, inshallah, we can have a specific workshop on these specific topics.
So when the user, for example, they come to you for development. You are not the person who wrote the code, the software. And do they have to consider when they write the code that they will development in which server, in which, or do you want to see their code, or what is the?
What's your name, please?
Fadl.
Fadl. Okay. There is different cases, Fadl. Okay. For example, one of the projects now I'm wrapping up now. It was for a telecom company in Canada. This company, they are working on premises. Okay. They're using their core application. They're using it in a specific language, Python, for example, and they want to go to the cloud. So where they come for me for this one? On cloud, you can do things differently than on-prem. Let's say, for example, they were using an application or a tool called Celery. This one, it's to process the tasks for their application like this. When they go to the cloud, we use something called PubSub. Okay, so if you go to the cloud, they have the 5 R's. I don't know if my memory fails me, but it's either you move left and shift as it is. You can have their solution, take it as it is. You have re-architect. You have to build based on the requirement you can see. You get what I mean? So there is not one use case, although if you go to Azure and GCP and like this, they tried as much as possible to give you scenarios. We try to follow these guidelines, but for me, honestly, I take these guidelines because Microsoft sometimes they over-exaggerate, or the vendors, they over-exaggerate. They want the things 100%, which is not feasible or not doable. Either it's too big or too small. We use it as a reference and we try to build it for the client as per their requirement. So there is no one way to do it. There is different ways.
There is no scenario that you said, okay, for the software development, the way you wrote your application, we cannot run it in the server. You need to change.
We can come to this one, but normally most of the people that we work with, let's say, I work with developers. This is from the client, for example. They don't understand anything infrastructure. We work together. We build, a solid ground. We understand their code, and we try to help them. This is what we call rebuild their code. You get what I mean? Either use cloud. Sometimes there is a solution that says, no, your application doesn't work.
So the software engineer, they need to understand cloud architecture designer.
They need to understand, yes.
So for the administrator account, they ask for password,
You use your password,
the same one.
whatever you want.
Okay.
But it has to be over 12 character, I think.
Okay.
What's your name?
Mine, Baki.
Baki.
Abdul Baki.
Abdul Baki, nice to meet you. What do you work?
I actually right now work for Boeing.
Yeah, for what's your role?
So HR analytics.
Sorry?
HR analytics.
Oh.
So I work with the HR data.
Okay, okay. Very interesting.
Work for Expedia and healthcare system, and then now Boeing.
It's an interesting topic, analytics. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too much numbers for me.
Yeah. So much within on-premise to cloud.
Yeah, yeah.
BI applications.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah.
I know data engineering, but on a very high level. Just in order to, move data and all of these things. But analytics is a very
Yeah.
interesting topic.
Yeah. I saw you have a data engineering certification too.
Yeah, Microsoft, yeah.
So based on your skill, do you have to know that data engineering as well too?
I studied this one to help me analyze data. So which data, for example, I needed this one because, sometime for assessment. For example, I had one client that they had 300 application they needed to assess on the cloud. They need to migrate to the cloud. They need to see this. And Microsoft has tools to do this one. There is one Netcat, I think, or I'm not sure this one. So this one, for example, it produces you for each application 5 JSON files. So 200 multiplied by 5. And in order to analyze these things, it would take me months. You get what I mean? So I learned this one to give me the tools. You have in Azure, they have Data Factory. They have multiple tools that you can import this data, clean it up, structure it, and so on. And also, because I work on ETL pipelines, I needed to understand this one. But I did not go deep in it. You get what I mean? But I had to understand it and to utilize it as tool. But my strength is mainly infrastructure as code and infrastructure as automation and containerization. These are the I really love them. Containerization. Yeah. How to convert an application from monolithic to containers. This is a fun topic that I like.
Brother, the size, there is no size standard B1 is only.
You have to go inside and select it. All sizes.
Yeah. Even there's B series.
So after configure networking, go straight to Ruby and create.
Yes, you don't need to other things. These are different things if you have a specific requirement. There's one good requirement in it, for example, one good configuration, which is shut down the VM. So for example, I have it on my personal VM on the cloud. Let's say I say every day, if the VM is on at 8 o'clock, turn it off. Or send me an email at 7 o'clock. If I don't reply, shut it down. And you have like how to monitor it, how to maintain the logs, different kind of setting. But for the purpose of this lab, it's fine. Also, once you created the VM, if you want to have some fun things, if you know Linux or if you want to learn about it, on the repo you have under the resources cheat sheets. You have cheat sheets for Linux if you want to play with it and have the commands. It's good for automation because we use it for automation a lot. You get what I mean? But I'm not an expert on Python. I use AI a lot for it, but I need Python. I understand the concept. I understand the variables, the functions, and all of these things. I don't know how to write a code by my head, but also I need to understand how to read it. Okay, and especially you would need it more if you were working with applications. You get what I mean? So as I mentioned for you, the last project that I was working, it was a Python code. And we had to containerize it. And in order to containerize it, we need to understand how it happens like this. And also in automation, we need it a lot. because some things like the Terraform and like this cannot do. You need Python to do it.
So, is it like something like this?
Yeah, it's created. You can go to it. Go to resource. You see this one.
Is there any fun things I can do in the virtual machine?
You have go to the repo. You have Linux commands if you want to. test.
A simple thing you can do is just a sudo apt neofetch.
What?
And that's it, neofetch. And it will just
Go to resource.
print a nice logo and configure the
Oh,
server like this.
okay, that's cool.
You can here connect to it and you can access this virtual machine. This is your virtual machine on the cloud.
I'm just timing out. Is there a mistake on my side or?
Yeah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. You created this virtual machine?
Yeah, it's if you go to the Brave browser right there.
One second. Is it on?
Yeah, it's go to the Brave browser.
Edge?
No, not Edge. The browser. Yeah, Brave.
This one?
Right here, yeah, it's set up here.
Refresh. Oh, maybe you don't have, because I created
Oh, maybe that's
the networking.
okay. Maybe.
So, in here. Okay, so NSG's, where is the network here? Setting.
Maybe for tomorrow's I'll just make a student one.
Okay, one sec. Okay, so you can do it from here. Where is the resource group? Here, create NSC. It's like the rules.
Okay.
Okay, so this one here. What subnet? This is the one?
Yeah.
Okay. NSG test.
I'm trying to troubleshoot it myself.
Yeah,
as well.
no problem. Check from here how to create it and